G'day punters, welcome back for the fourth episode of The Bagman. I am joined by my co-host, jockey manager Luke Hilton, and I'm also joined by special guest Dean Watling from the Barrier Attendant. We're racing on a heavy 9 surface at the moment at Rosehill. We're going to be going through the QUADDIE legs, races 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we've got a 10 race card at Rosehill on Saturday. Difficult when you're doing the form. Surely there would have been a chance to schedule one of these races on the Wednesday meeting. We only had 7 races at Warwick Farm on Wednesday, and the previous Wednesday we only had 6 races at Canterbury. Hildo, Chad Lever, your man's going to Rosehill for the inaugural running of the Midway race, and Dylan's got a good book at Newcastle.
Yeah, with the zoning coming in this week, Blake, due to COVID restrictions, the riders had to choose whether they were going to be in the Greater Sydney bubble or outside. And I think Chad's wife training the horse probably pulled the strings there, and he's gone into town for this period. And he's got a nice ride on Piping Roller tomorrow in the first running of the midways, which is a great concept. I know provincial trainers have been calling for a long time for this, and they've finally got it. And I think it'll be a great concept, and you can see by the amount of runners they had in the first one that it'll be should be a success. I don't totally have to have 10 races every Saturday just because of the extra race, but anyway, that's what we got, and more racing, I suppose, is a bit more fun.
Yeah, you're a provincial trainer, and you're always whinging to me about the highway races and how the country trainers got it all.
It was the only thing I wanted. It's a game changer for them, not just to win them or to have runners, to be able to take your owners to town on a Saturday. It's a great pulling power for provincial trainers, and it gives them something to use when enticing people to come. We're starting to get skipped with horses going from the city straight to the country guys for the highways, which is a great concept. But now they've got something back, so hopefully see the provincial trainers support it a bit more. And I think with the provincial trainers getting some more horses on the back of this, it could help the provincial fields stack up a bit better, which I feel are probably the missing link at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Good innovation by Racing New South Wales. Dean, I'll bring you in. You're on the punters panel this morning. You are the form expert for the Barrier Attendant. Give us a rundown of how you got into punting, and let us know how to find you on social media.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, lads. A pleasure. How I got into punting, I had my first ever bet in the Melbourne Cup where Americane was the winner at a $5 $5 trifecta, sorry. And I remember Mum coming to races and throwing $50 notes at me. I think from there I've been hooked. My grandparents and my parents are into it. And then I've always taken a love for the thoroughbred itself. I go for the Broncos somehow, somewhere along the line. I must have loved horses when I was younger. So, and then sort of just taken a little bit more seriously the last 5 to 6 years, and that's how it's sort of come about. I moved into sort of the tipping and doing the full analysis, and then got to the stage where I wanted to create my own brand, and I created the Barrier Attendant, which I'm the form analyst for. I do not just tips, I try to do weekend review, trial report, a little bit of education, not just sending them the tips and telling them when to put it on. So you can find me on Twitter. I post majority of my stuff. There's plenty of free stuff, videos, content on my own Twitter. That's just at Dean Watling, and then the Barrier Attendant's just at the Barrier Attendant. You'll find them pretty easy on Twitter. But keen to rip in, boys, and keen as to take a look at this Rosehill meeting.
Beauty. Well, let's get stuck in. We'll start with race 7, which is the first leg of the QUADDIE. It's a 3-year-old and 4-year-old, benchmark 72 over 1,500 metres. A little bit of money early on for Captive, 26 into 16. He's in 38.5%. Bring the Ransom, bit of money for her as well, $26 into 18. Hildo, I'll kick off with you. Mudgee is an interesting runner. He's one that's sort of been a little bit slow away in the past, but he sprung back into form last start with James in the saddle, going back to midweek company. He sprang the lids, took up the running, and then sat in behind the leader and proved too good. What do they do with him on Saturday?
Yeah, a little bit harder. A tricky draw on Saturday. Has got the good booking of Jay Parr for this horse to find that him and Baker really connect well together. And I think you'll find during these winter tracks too, Björn's probably a trainer that you like to find. His horses are fit and strong and getting through these wet tracks that we've seen during this week. Him and blokes like Mark Newman and those trainers come to the fore on wet tracks, having the very strong horses, and they've been winning races all through the week. As I said, I just think Omaji probably going to be a good ride from Josh to see where he gets to. I think there's enough tempo in this race with horses going forward. I sort of like the Kieran Maher horse with Louise Day on, but I'm not sure where it gets as well. I think it finds the right spot, sort of maybe can get 3 wide with cover, where I think Omaji can get as well. But then again, Paper Warrior winning last start, I think sets up nicely for it. I know it hadn't won for a long time, but generally you can see those horses string a few together back in winning form. And I think Kieran McAvoy, the soft draw, probably gets the right run. Hard to play. We're going to heavy 9. We're going to rail back out 3 metres. Tried to pen this Rosehill track as sort of being on fence, on speed for the last couple of weeks and haven't been clearly right. But I think tomorrow is going to be a bit of advantage to be further forward rather than back. So they're probably the horses, Paper Warrior and La Chevalier, probably the 2 that I want to look at in that race.
Yep, 3rd week straight at Rosehill. It played relatively fair last week. So interesting to see how it plays 3rd week in a row, racing at the same track. Dino, La Chevalier, interesting runner. The market's sort of been against her so far. She brings fillies and mares form. You could say she was a little bit stiff last start at Randwick. Zing's come out and won a relatively weak race. Do you think the market has her in the right spot? Is she a deserving favourite?
Yeah, I think she's the deserved favourite. Yeah, the set against her in the market currently is just purely due to the fact of the barrier 14 out wide. Like Luke said, it's a tricky spot, but with Apprentice on, I think they'll go handlebars down here and try to find a spot up on pace. If the horse does that, I think it'll be almighty hard to beat. I thought it should have won last start, loved its work through the line. But like you said, it's up to the barrier. And I think if punters get to a race 7 and we can see you sort of sitting that 3 wide line, and you don't have to be on rails, I think the money will come for La Chevalier.
I'm not against her at all. I'm not really keen on this race, to tell you the truth. I thought Wild Chap had a hope. He did me a favour last start when he box seated with no weight. Reece Jones was in the saddle. Similar setup here. He gets Tyler Schiller in the saddle this time. He's just an improving type, and he's got no weight. The draw's a little bit awkward for him as well. As you said, there's plenty of speed involved. But if he can find a spot just behind the leaders, he'll give this race a shake. But tough race for me. The 8th race. Go on, Dino. Yeah.
Just to comment on that, and just the key to this race, I thought, was when dissecting the form, I found it not too hard. On top, you could find just purely to Saturday form. I think the horses there's a couple of horses firm in the market, like Omaji, who brings midweek form. So does a few others in this. So I think to try dissect that, I found it, you could sort of, Warrior brings that last start Saturday win, and then you got a horse like La Chevalier who's got Saturday form. I think that's going to rise to the top in this race. You look at horses like Bethencourt coming out of midweek. There's a Captive Air comes out of a midweek, and they're all sort of getting spec'd. But I think the market will launch towards a 4 late in the piece here.
Yeah, no doubt. Usually does on Saturdays. These it's hard to bring midweek form to Saturday races, but this is a race that brings plenty of midweek form, and there's not much Saturday's form to speak of. As you said, La Chevalier definitely brings the right form. The 8th race of the day is a benchmark 78, 3-year-olds and upwards, over 1,300 metres. Plenty of deductions here. Epic Dan has been supported, $34 into $15. Vitesse after deductions, $3.90 into $3.40. Luke, smart image. He was given a negative ride last start. He improved really sharply. He went back from barrier 12. Do you have him settling a little bit closer from barrier 4?
Yeah, definitely with T. Clark and barrier 4. I think he can settle closer. I think he's got to as well. Don't know what happened there. Yeah, I think he's got to settle closer. to sort of enhance his chances. I don't like him sort of getting right back on this track tomorrow, but I think with T. Clark in there, he will. I found these last 4 races in the quaddie legs extremely hard to get through. It's a very tough end of the meeting. I think if you land a quaddie on Saturday, you could be getting a result with this field. There's a lot of horses that have got sort of similar form lines and chances. Look, I think Vitesse leads this race, and although he might roll along a decent clip, I think probably can lead uncontested, and Nash will have his chance from 1 to. That's probably the way I'm leaning at the moment.
Yeah, Vitesse, she was very good last start, going back to midweek company with James in the saddle. As you said, Lance Nash draws barrier 1. Dino, do you have her at the top of the market?
Yeah, I think she's deserved favourite. Brings that Saturday form. Obviously comes through the midweek win last start, but does have Saturday form. Nash Waller, you sort of want a strong jockey in these wet conditions. Finds a nice map, like you said, dictates out in front. And I'm keen to be against Smart Image. I can't believe the price of this horse. The stable come out clearly in an interview prior to this prep and said they figured him out in the off-season. He's just purely a dry tracker. I know he's been closing on good tracks, but I think a couple of them have been false runs. I think you go back 2 starts, he flew home on the inside, and that was the day it was dominated by horses in those first 4 lanes. So I thought that was sort of a bit of an over-exaggeration. And I, as a dry tracker, if he wins Saturday on a wet track, I think the stable must be talking porkies that he's not a wet tracker. So he's 440 in the market around that price currently. So I'm keen to let him go to the keeper. And like you said, Vitesse just maps so well, has all the ticks in the boxes here, and the race sort of falls away after that with all these. Only other one I could probably make a little case for is Molly Coddle, and comes out of the midweek race behind Vitesse. Had no luck there, back to the inside, the inferior going, has a win on a heavy track, and from barrier 2 can sit up a touch closer. So tricky race, like you said, but it's hard to go away from Chris Waller, Nashville, barrier 1, dictating on its own.
Yeah, definitely. And I seem to remember Molly Coddle winning on a really heavy track, maybe at Wyong or Gosford last preparation. So she definitely handles it. I want to include Taxu in my multiples. I know you were against him, Dino, on the punter's panel this morning, but he was well supported first up for the first run for Joe Pride. He was pretty plain, but Joe took the blinkers off him. He whacked them straight back on today. Mateo Takpi's come out of that race and won on Wednesday. Softer draw. As I said, the blinkers go back. I just think that he could possibly do something here at about $7, $58. But yeah, not a race that I'm going to be having a bet in personally. The 9th race is a benchmark 78 over 1,800 metres. Lakeen has been relatively firm in the market, $7 into $5.50. Bit of money around for accountability, 41 into 27. And then HARPO MARX also $19 into $14. This race is all about Wicklow, fellas. He was able to settle a little bit closer last start in a small field. He's been relatively slow away at all 3 Australian runs. He draws double figures here. Luke, where do you have him on the map?
Yeah, look, sort of got him in that second half of the field and wide, which I'm sort of going against being the play tomorrow. He was dominant last start and he was very, very good. But yeah, I can just see the map and mainly the track being against him tomorrow. Lakeen was very good the other day. I think he was only beaten by James McDonald. Anyone else on No Compromise doesn't win, and he wins comfortably. I think he gets a lot softer tempo here tomorrow. I think Timmy will sort of take the race by the hands and roll forward and try and control it. I think the horse will be very hard to beat. The other horse who I just sort of maybe don't like with the map and the track, but I think he's flying this prep, is HARPO MARX. I thought his trial was better than I've ever seen him trial before. His first up run was super. Just not sure where he'll get to. If he sort of gets back and inside and Rachel King can take some sneaky runs, I think he could be an outside chance to run a good race. But yeah, I'm sort of happy to play with Lakeen here in this race.
Yeah, Lakeen back to 1,800 meters. I reckon that suits. He was 35 days between runs last start. I know he'd had that 2,000 meter run under his belt, but I think this sets up a little bit nicer for him, and there's been a little bit of money around. I would tend to be against Wicklow. I know that he's put 3 really good wins on the board. That 2-back run, a few winners have come out of that race. I know Always On shows one at Doomben, Style Benders one at Kembla, and Don Arcangelo's one at Newcastle. But I just don't know where he gets to on the map. I know that there might be a change of tactics coming through, but he's been slow away at all 3 runs, and I reckon the market's going to be against him. I'm not sure what you think, Dino. What do you got? What price do you reckon Wicklow starts tomorrow?
I think he'll get out in the market. I agree with you there for sure. I don't think you'll see many punters launching in on a heavy 9 to a $2.10 favourite in a staying race. I think he'll get out to $3 plus in the market. I think the market has to rally for Lakeen. Like you said, just purely on the map. I think the money will come for that horse. In saying that, I think Wicklow's the best horse. Dry track here, I think he will win by absolute panels. We're not on a dry track, and I think the wet track takes away from his brilliant finish. He's got to look at his last 600 figures for his last 2 starts. Have been outstanding. He got home some 2.7 lengths faster than his rivals, 2 starts back, and they went slow, 6.6 lengths slower to the average to the first 600. So he's got very good, strong sectionals in him. Just the only issue for mine is that this heavy 9 track takes the touch away from his brilliance and sort of brings him back to that level with the rest of the horses in the field. So I'm saying if you're keen to back this horse, I'd be definitely waiting to just before the jump. I think you get a much better price. And if you're going to back Lakeen, I'd be stepping in now, because I think those odds currently will get taken up. If punters are going to bet late, and if you're going to bet Lakeen, bet now.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. Wicklow getting them out in the market. If he does get out to $3, he might be a bet at that stage. And I do think the market will rally towards Lakeen. I want to make a little case for HARPO MARX, as Hildo did. I've had 2 bets in the race. I've backed HARPO MARX. Both his trials were really good. He didn't have the best of luck. First up, he was held up on 2 occasions and had to make 2 runs. Rachel King's riding in really good form. And as you said, Hildo, Bjorn Baker before today is striking at 22% in his last 50 runners. The concern would be for me is, are we going off 1 run early? But happy to take that $14, $15 on offer. Also had something on Accountability at $41. I think he's got a good hope. Third up, his first 2 runs have been over 1,500 meters and he's closed off nicely. Nash on board for Chris. He wouldn't ride many for Chris that go around at $41. So I think he's got a hope rising in trip. I know he started a short price favourite in a race like this last preparation. So I give him a hope at Bolter's odds.
Yeah, the other one I just do want to mention that race too, BJ, was Maserati Bay, Kieran Maher's horse. It's 2,000 back to 18. Does rise sharply in weight. Just with the lack of other tempo, you know, if Lakeen's got any chink in his armour and he does get his own way, I think Maserati Bay would be right. Keegan Latham, he's back 200 metres and his form is, you know, pretty solid coming out of Melbourne form and down here where he should handle the wet track. And I think it's going to be sort of right on the back of Lakeen. And as I said, he gets his own way and there's any chink, he could be the one that sort of can nab him late.
Yep, no knock from me. I just am slightly against Melbourne horses coming to Sydney for the first time. Keegan's riding in fantastic form, so he comes to town on a Saturday and he could make his presence felt. The last race of the day was a 3-year-old and upwards fillies and mares, 1,400 metres. 1 lone filly, expat, takes on 10 mares. Plenty of chances here. I've had a bet in the race already. I'll get to that a little bit later. Expat was flown out of the gates at her first go over 1,300 metres last start with good results, Hildo. She steps up to 1,400 metres. Do they adopt the same tactics here?
Definitely do. This horse rolls forward. You can't sort of change its pattern too much. It's been really strong in most of its wins when it has rolled forward. And I think they'll do the same again. Obviously, it's going to have a little bit of company tomorrow, but I think they're going to get, we'll be able to sort of dictate to an extent. And Para is one of the best at doing it. Handles are heavy and gets the same conditions again. So I can't see why it can't be right in the finish again. A horse that sort of gets on the back of it that was really tough the other day. He's coming out of midweek grade, but we sort of want to stick with him. I think he's Cafe Royale. Gets Tyler Schiller, 3 kilo claim will help bring it down the weights. Gets on the back of Expat. Has to go to the 1400 as well, but won over 1400 Warwick Farm last start on a wet track, and I just think it maps to be right there with Expat. Look, the horse I like from last meeting, and I don't think it handled the wet track, is Katalin, the Godolphin horse. I don't want to back it tomorrow on a wet track again. Love to see this horse get to a dry track. I could be, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually scratched this horse. They did mention pre-race that they were worried about the wet track, and I thought it didn't really get through it the other day and probably mapped against it. That maps against it again tomorrow. So it's a horse that I'm waiting for. I want to see it get on a dry track, but I hope to see it go around tomorrow. Yeah,
she's an interesting runner. I'm not sure if she goes around, as you said, whether or not she's there, who knows. She was a big drifter second up. She was $2.10 out to $3.10 on the wet surface. First up, she was outstanding on the Kensington track, 438 days between runs. James said she didn't handle the track. She's already started to drift here. I don't know if she goes around it. I don't know if it's nice and sunny in Sydney at the moment, but whether or not the track can improve enough to see her go around tomorrow, I'm not sure. Did you give her any hope, Dino?
I think she's an exciting horse on the rise, but like you said, I think if they've got a nice opinion of this horse, I don't see why they wouldn't wait for another week. I don't see the desperation in running her on a bottomless heavy 9, where clearly, unless there was an issue last week and it was a little bit of a second up syndrome break and that injury, unless they're super confident she gets through the wet, I'd be very surprised if they don't scratch this horse. It won like a good horse back after that break at the Kenzo track. So I could find her on a dry track, but at a wet track, I'm steering clear. It's against the map that I think will be the preferred position of the day. She's going to get back, obviously, have to rattle home. And in the wet track, I don't think she can. In saying that, I'm keen to be against the favourite Expat here. A lot of punters will launch into the Par Newnham combo. One last start, 2 from 2 at the heavy, but goes up in class and up in weight. And I think a horse like Steel Diamonds, a much better play in the race. Savage the line last start, recorded a very nice last 400 figure. Nash jumps on for Chris Waller. And I think the map's the key. If this horse positions up in the 1-1, I think it will be all over at the top of the straight. It's a very good wet tracker. First prep with Chris Waller. And I expect Expat to get out in the market. I just think she's a touch too short, sorry. But outside of that, Miss Einstein flew home last start. It always does. And the market's found Saigon, who comes through the Expat race last week. The price has gone off there and was very good from behind. Tommy Berry jumps on for Chris Waller. If that horse can posse up, I think that's probably in for second pick. In this last, I'll be playing Steel Diamond. I think it's one of the better bets of the program at Rosehill.
Yeah, I think Joycey found Saigon on the form line last night, so maybe that's where that price has gone. Steel Diamond, and nice to see her win for the late Rick Worthington. As you said, she was really good for first up for Chris Waller. My question mark on her is the form out of that last start effort behind Gravina. Ulysses, he's since failed. He ran 9th out of 10 behind Mirror Vision. Bluff and Bluster, he finished last behind Mirror Vision. Brazen Gem finished 7th of 8th behind Get the Idea on Wednesday. And Switch was the best of them, finishing 5th of 12 behind Madam Legend. So my question mark is on the form behind Steel Diamond, but I do think the market is going to rally towards her. She's just going to strip fitter, and she maps perfectly. Hard to beat. I've had something on Exotic Ruby at $17. I think she's got a great chance. She gets a 3.5 kilo weight swing on Expat from 2 back for 1.8 lengths beaten margin. She was held up there and had to change course, and then she was never on the track last start. She gets a 2 kilo weight swing on Cafe Royal in a bunch finish during the midweek. So I think she maps perfectly for Collet, and I just want to be with her at about $17. All right, boys, now it's time to get the Bagmen's QUADDIE. I'm going to start with you, Hildo, in race 7. Give me one number, and same from you, Dino.
I'll go 5 Paper Warrior. I think hopefully it can go back to back after striking some winning form last start.
I'll stick with the favourite, La Chevrolet. Louis Day to give it a peach from barrier 14 and to win well.
Okay, 5, 4, and I will put in 10 Wild Chap. Moving on to the next race, Hildo, starting off with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Molly Cottle here. Molly Cottle, yeah. I just hopefully can get some little bit of luck along the fence, be a bit closer, and can get finish off well.
I will throw in the 12. I think can posse up a lot closer to Tommy Berry in the saddle, and around that 750 price. That'd be nice for the QUADDIE.
All right, well, we're going against Smart Image here. I'm going to put in Taxu. So we've got Molly Cottle, Starla, and Taxu there. The 9th race, Hildo, what have you got for us?
Look, I'm happy to be with the Keen. I think Map's right, gets the right spot, and going to be hard to beat.
I will throw in the favourite, Wicklow. Just needs a little bit of luck from the barrier and should go very close.
All right, HARPO MARX for me. So we've got Wicklow, Lakeen, and HARPO MARX. And then rounding us up, Hildo, the last race.
I'm happy to be with Cafe Royal there with the claim, and Map's right to just be behind the speed.
I'll stick with the 9 Still Diamond, second up, very good first up, and should be in that first half of the field.
Okay, so we've got Cafe Royal, Steel Diamond, and Exotic Ruby in the last. So numbers, if you're taking that QUADDIE punters, first leg, 5, 4, and 10. In the second leg, we've got 14, 12, and 11. The third leg, we have 7, 13, and 6. And in the last leg, we've got 2, 9, and 11. All right, let's just round the show up with a couple of best bets. Hildo, starting with you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to probably stick with CANASTA again. I would have loved to have seen the horse probably get out a little bit in distance now, but I just think I think he has probably gone along at a bit slow for his liking in his first few. I think you'll see him lead well tomorrow, and if the playing anywhere sort of leaderish or on fence, I hopefully can keep going and get away with it tomorrow.
So that's race 6, number 8, CANASTA for Luke at about $3.80, best available. Dino, what do you got for us?
I'm going to pose, Lukey. I think CISCO Bay is the better day there in race 6. I'll throw another one out for the punters in race 4 at some juicy odds. I think Magic Ruler, who was around the $18 price this morning, has been absolutely crunched. I think race 4, number 3, Magic Ruler, will run a very, very good race. Up on pace, did it last start in the wet. I think he's just a dead set wet tracker, so I thought that would value Magic Ruler at race 4.
Oh yeah, that price has definitely gone. So that's Magic Ruler, race 4, number 3, best value for Dino, and then he's gone CISCO Bay, race 6, number 9 at about $4.50, best available. I couldn't really land on a real good thing on the day, but I'm going to make mine race 9, number 6, HARPO MARX from the Bjorn Baker stable. Thanks for coming on the show, fellas. Don't forget to follow Dino at the Barrier Attendant on Twitter, and Hildo at Hilton Racing. Is that correct, Hildo?
No, that's probably the older one. Just L. I don't know what the tag is now, but it's just now.
I'll tag you in the video anyway. Thanks for coming on, fellas.
Exactly, yeah. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.